fellow Meet and Code enthusiasts. My name is Philip, and I'm part of the Meet and Code team, and I'd like to wish you a warm welcome. Also on behalf of our partners, Haus des Stiftens, TechSoup Europe, SAP, and of course, our European partner, the German Federal Ministry of the Interior. And I'd like to welcome you all to our first Meet and Code online seminar in October. As I already mentioned a few minutes ago, I can already tell you that we are kicking off this series with a fantastic speaker, and I will say a few words about him in a minute. But before I do that, I quickly like to take the chance and say, welcome, Pedro. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
What a great pleasure.
Thank you so much. As I said, I will say a few more words about you in a second. But for those of you who are new to the Meet and Code initiative, let me tell you a bit about it. So Meet and Code, the initiative Meet and Code, was launched in 2017 to assist nonprofit organizations in providing digital skills to young people across Europe. Now, 5 years on, Meet and Code has reached over 170,000 youth across 35 European countries. What great numbers. And we're basically giving them the digital literacy and coding skills to thrive and accelerate into tomorrow's competitive digital economy. And how do we do that? So Meet and Code awards micro grants of as much as 500 euros to local nonprofit organizations to facilitate the digital skills workshop they deliver. I'm sure that many in our audience today will undoubtedly be recipients of those grants. So perhaps you can type it in the chat if you've ever participated in Meet and Code before, or if you're participating this year actually. And I also quickly want to emphasize that while we are in the middle of the EU Code Week, the Meet and Code event implementation period is currently climaxing with hundreds of events taking place all over Europe. So a shout out to everyone contributing to the EU Code Week this year. Coming back to the Meet and Code online seminars, why have we actually launched these online seminars? These online seminar series is an extension of the Meet and Code commitment to help nonprofits become more innovative, creative in the work they're actually doing. They're designed to inspire all of you, our Meet and Code community, with learnings, insights from great SAP expert speakers and coaching, like Pedro, the #1, in the exciting world of IT and coding. So now let's introduce Pedro a little bit. We are very delighted to have Pedro Ahlers with us today. And prior to working in sustainability innovation, Pedro gained experience in sales and pre-sales at SAP. But he told me that no matter what he does, answering the why before talking about the how has always been and remains his top priority. Together with his team, Pedro predicts what might become relevant with the large realm of sustainability over the next 3 to 10 years. That's actually super interesting. And they also focus on what needs to be done to ensure business and ecosystems are ready to adapt. Since it would be much more interesting to hear directly from you, Pedro, I will basically almost stop talking now and let me just say again that we are super honored, grateful, and hugely amazed that despite all your commitments that we just heard, you have prioritized the time to be with us today. Let's dive right into today's topic and learn more about the super catchy title, No Bees, No Trees, No Shades, No Thank You. Pedro, I'll stop my presentation and I'll hand over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So now I am sharing my screen, or at least I was sharing my screen because now everything is white here.
Yeah, I think you have to start it all over again.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, because Annika, is it just me or I see the the presenter mode?
Yeah, me as well.
Okay, interesting. Give me a sec.
No worries. Yeah, that's what it is usually with the conference tools. We've been trying it out right before the call, and now it's a little issue. But so
let me see what's happening here. So I'm trying again.
Try it again, yeah. So for me, it's still the presenter mode. So
I'm surprised you're seeing anything.
Perhaps let me
Very
just.
strange. I mean, we just tested it and it was working, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is with live events. I mean, I think everybody can empathize with that. That's how it works. So all goody. Let's just try it again. Otherwise, let me try.
What do you see now?
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
now
go,
it
Pedro.
works.
And you know what? I didn't change a thing. Come
Yeah.
on, what's going on? So, all right, fellas, I am super excited talking to you about no bees and no trees and no shadow and of course, no thank you. So the next minutes we will have together, it's all about the topic sustainability, and the connection I have to sustainability is from an innovation perspective. Okay, so not doing the hardcore products and projects right in time. I am really trying to predict with my team what is actually going to happen within the next 3 to 10 years plus, and this is this is really something not only very interesting, but also very challenging because people are typically in the here and now. Whereas you have to think in how are things going to evolve in the end of the day. But you know what? What actually sounds so frightening and so worrying. There is a saying, I guess, and if not, I just invented it, where doom is looming, there is hope. Right? And so today we're not going to talk about what's happening and all the risks and the floodings and the horrible wildfires and the earthquakes and so on. We're now going to talk about the challenges and also how we can make a positive impact. And if I'm saying, you know, whenever I'm saying we, I actually not talking only about SAP, I'm talking also about you. I'm talking about me as an individual with my family, you as an individual with your friends and your families. This is actually what we're going to do also here today, all right? So why not just get it started? And I would like to get started with some numbers for you. Now, these three numbers you're seeing here, the 50, the 80, and the 94, they are telling a story. Can you guess what the story is? I give you 15 seconds just to think about what could it actually be. And if you think, oh my goodness, I have it, just chat it, post it just in the chat. So what could it be? Well, let me give you a hint. It's actually 50% were born between 1980 and 1994. But who is this persona I'm talking about? Who is this group of people I'm talking about? So this group of people I'm talking about here are the professional buying personas, the professional purchasing department, people who are working in purchasing departments in large enterprises. So we call them B2B buyers. And that is pretty interesting for a very simple fact in the end of the day. This makes those people in the age between 27 and 40 years old. And if you look who I mean, you have typically those people, you know, politicians and CEOs and so on. These people typically are way older than 41 years, right? So they are actually part of when the problem we're in the middle of started to evolve. I'm not saying they are part of the problem actually, but I'm saying that they were in the middle of it when it started, you know, to grow and to grow and to grow. And Albert Einstein already said once, you know what? You cannot open new doors. You cannot open old doors and expect new stuff in these rooms, okay? Because nothing changed in the end of the day. But now, since we're talking about those people, 27 and 41 years, I mean, those people, they grew up with internet here and there, at least, or at least with computers. Those people grew up with, I want to know something, I Google it. And these people also grew up with data, actually, in the end of the day. And this will be pretty important for the seminar, actually. But this was just a one, did you know? There is another, did you know? And I have some facts here. And seriously, although I'm working every day in sustainability, whenever I read this here, I get a bit depressing. You know what? Certainly there are also challenges and opportunities, but you know, come on, just look at this. Okay, so by 2030 we will need actually 2 planets to sustain our needs, because just because of the way we're living in the end of the day, where 30% of food is being, good food is being, you know, turned into waste during supply chain, during transportation, 30% of the worldwide food, and 45% of CO2 emissions can be tackled by, you see, how goods are made and used. So there are things at hand we can do, but really what worried me personally very much is that actually I'm eating every single week a credit card. I mean, ingesting 5 grams of plastic every week. Look, this is actually part of what I was referring to, consuming information. If I'm talking to my in-laws, they would never come up with, let me Google how much plastic I'm eating. Let me Google, the percentage of CO2 emissions. Let me Google who are those 6 countries responsible for more than 60% of global emissions. And I'm pretty sure you are interested. If you're interested, let me know in the chat. So these are part of information. And if you need more of these information, you can find them on the internet. They are there, and they are there for you. They're accessible. And this is something super important in our lifetime. And we actually tend very often to forget it. Another thing we very often also forget when it comes to sustainability is the power of you. It's interesting that many Germans, and I'm sure there are also, surveys in other countries, but many Germans do not really believe that companies are actually doing, sustainability for the sake of sustainability, but for other reasons. And people also they tend with finger pointing and look how they are polluting and look what they are doing and look what they, it's always about they. But you have power. And I mean, come on, we have power, you and I, and in a team. Imagine the power we have. The point is that many people don't really understand what power they actually have. But just with getting access to really qualitative education. I mean, we are offering quality education for you guys, for everybody actually on OpenSAP, on HPI. These are SAP platforms where we're trying, to give you a deeper look into what we are doing. But then there is, EDX, for instance. Oh my goodness. I mean, they are offering university courses for you free of charge. And all you need is the willingness and the time. But you can educate yourself. Informations are there. And then, of course, your voice is heard in social media and other media. And I have here on the right-hand side this little pyramid. This little pyramid refers to a Nielsen. So Nielsen is a research company like Forrester and Gartner, and they referred to the 1% rule. And interestingly, if you have, or if you were a company, or if you actually as an individual, if you would have 100 followers, research says that out of these 100 followers, there are 90% observers. So people who are individuals who are just reading, not really interacting. You have 9% of contributors, those people who are not only watching and reading, but also, reacting, sharing, and liking. And you have 1% of influencers. In the end, it's very important to understand that independently on, in which cluster you see yourself, every voice is heard. Everything is being triggered, and everything, can cause a huge domino effect in the end of the day. Now, before we are now going to continue, with moving more deeper into sustainability, I would like to ask you to grab your phone and to scan the QR code. This is actually the QR code. And by doing so, Philip, which screen are you seeing so far currently?
I'm currently seeing the "Who are you" screen.
Okay, so okay. Sorry guys, let me quickly cancel this here again, because it was just a second. Okay, no problem. Here we go. So here we go, folks. Kindly scan the QR code and let's go through two questions I have prepared for you. So the first question, and we already started it, is I'm super interested in understanding where are you actually coming from, not only for the sake of my curiosity, but also for the sake of regional culture. There we go. So we have the Germans here. And if you're having any trouble in accessing it, please just chat it or let me know. Romania, welcome. And by the way, while you're keying in where you're coming from, which country you're coming from, you see the hashtag right there, right? This is also a nice to know. This hashtag actually is a date, the 12th of December 2015. And this was a extremely super important historic day, because this day marks the resolution in Paris, the climate resolution in Paris. And there are pretty many, let's say pretty much topics we haven't achieved really. So we always wanted to stay below 1.5 degrees. In the meanwhile, it's not pretty sure if we, even can stay below 2 degrees. But this is actually really the basis, the foundation of a lot of stuff we're doing here. So, okay, there we go. I assume this is it, right? Serbia, Romania, Austria, South Bulgaria. There we go. Look at this. Okay. The next question I have for you is, please let me know what is your understanding of sustainability? This is pretty relevant now. And very often it matches to regional, actually to regions in the end of the day, to countries, okay? So there are certain countries where you would never find burning coal, for instance, is something we should be really worried about. But so either in a word or in a sentence, just let me know, or let us know, share your thoughts with what does sustainability mean for you? Yes, absolutely a lifestyle. As we read already, in these in this good to know, it's also basically in our hand how we can impact sustainability, just how we produce and just how we consume and use stuff. There we go. Responsibility for future future generations. There was a project of a large customer once saying that let's make sure that the decisions we are doing today are not impacting negatively our future. Exactly. And the quality of life, certainly. Very nice. This environmental and social and economic actions, unfortunately, what we see very often is that they are being handled isolated. Whereas I would say, in many cases, they are blurring. And for that reason, very often what you see in economic actions is more or less decoupled from reportings telling the world also what's happening in social. Certainty and responsibility, I love it. Ecosystem protection, making conscious decisions that do not negatively affect my children. You know what? I really, if you start this discussion, you easily come down to CO2 stuff and to, to very detailed stuff. But reading all of this here, I can assure you that we are on the same wave. I love it. Thank you very much. Keep posting if you have anything coming to your mind. But for now, I would like to share again my desktop, hoping that you are now seeing the presentation mode. Philip, you are?
Now it's actually, again, the presenter's mode.
Is this true?
Annika, is it
Yep.
just me? Ah, that's authentic. That's like, there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
You got it?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome. All right, fellas. So let's get into it. We now want to talk about really sustainability. All right. And in order to do so, I have prepared also some information, of course, for you. So, for instance, the perception here in Germany, now imagine this. I mean, more than half of the Germans believe that firms put sustainability on top of their agenda, but not really because, they want to save the world, but for marketing purpose. 60%. But on the other side also, every fourth German believes that I cannot change anything. Big firms have to change it because I cannot make a significant impact. So in other words, this is at least what I'm taking out of it. Banning single-use plastic, it's really just, it's really just a drop in the ocean. Okay, we need to have large companies stop burning fossil fuels and so on. And of course, I mean, these are, in the end of the day, two very separate topics, but it does not, relieve you from your own from your own responsibility. You also have something to do in this here. I have also prepared something to give you some facts. So what's actually really happening. And it makes it's not always easy for people to get down to these figures because they are, hidden here and there in some newspapers and in whatever in reports. But I mean, there is a lot of stuff going on already in this world, right? I mean, it's not only this $90 trillion of money to be invested by 2030. I mean, this is, just imagine this figure. It's a huge figure, isn't it? We have regulations putting in place, coming into place, 60 plus regulations for carbon pricing, etc. So things are, slipping into gear here and there a bit slowly, of course, but this is in the end of the day how we perceive it, okay? Because it's in an ecosystem, a complete ecosystem needs to adapt, needs to change in the end of the day. Something I really, really like, and this is again the power of you, is the employees and the consumers. Just looking at the employees. So your generation, most likely, my generation, a part of, but especially the younger ones, they're definitely not only looking for a company car and a good computer and working from home office. They're actually looking on how serious are you taking sustainability. I'm not going to work for a company who is polluting the planet and making the life of my children hard work. So this is something what's happening. In fact, I would like to give it a bit more, even more large numbers. So 48%, as you see here, of the CEOs, they are implementing sustainability projects across their business operations. This might sound like, okay, where the hell are the remaining 52%? We will come to what it actually means to adapt a business and why this is really a challenge. Okay, so 48 is not that bad number. I wish it was higher, but I'm happy that this is not only 24% or something like that, right? My favorite CEO, you might know him, Christian Klein. I'm so honored he's my CEO. And Christian came up with a quote, with a statement, I enjoy. And if it wouldn't be that long, I actually would think in having a tattoo of it, okay? At least for the second phrase. We need to move from ecosystems to ecosystems and operate in networks. We will come to the section where I'm digging deeper into what actually is the difference between an ecosystem and an ecosystem. All right, keep this in mind and think about this. We need to move from ecosystems to ecosystems and operate in business networks. It's amazing. It's really to the point. I believe you are wondering, okay, is SAP actually part of this 48% of the CEOs? Absolutely, yes, we are. I'm not going through all those details you see in here, but just for the case you are wondering and asking a question, or what are these guys actually doing? It's too much to write it down on the one point. And then we are supporting our ecosystem. This means our customers, our partners, universities and governments we are working with. So this is actually the ecosystem we are supporting. And of course, we are doing something for our environment. And I mean, we're not only saying it, we're actually, walking the talk. Just by, 33% eco-friendly cars in our car fleet. And we have 10,000 cars and more. Moving down CO2 neutral, carbon neutral by 2023, for instance, is also something we're doing. We're funding nature-based solutions like, planting trees, 21 million trees. I mean, this is a number, right? 21 million trees. And yes, absolutely. One point in sustainability is you can argue everything. So you might now ask, oh, okay, you are now planting 21 million trees, and on the other side, 21 million trees are being, teared down. Is this really the purpose? So no, of course, this is not the purpose. We're thinking in end-to-end, and we're thinking in sustainability. So this is actually what we are doing. If you are interested in more details or whatever, you have no problem reaching out to me, okay? LinkedIn, email, whatever, reach out to Philip, to Annika, to me, whatever fits to your needs. But, talking about this sustainability and also operations, we're now coming to this part of the innovation. And since I am working in innovation for sustainability, I wanted to give you a brief, really just a brief insight on how the life of an innovation architect in sustainability looks like. This is how it looks like. So you are surrounded by dozens, by hundreds and thousands of experts. You are surrounded by them. So sustainability is actually everywhere. And yet, people are talking about it, but there is limited action. And they're talking about idea. They're talking about, I have this idea, and have you heard about this? And why not try this and try that? And you see, the thing with ideas are, they are actually also a threat. And they are a threat because they are like rabbits. And if you get a couple of them and you learn how to handle them, I mean, pretty soon you have a dozen and another dozen and more and more and more and more. And this actually prevents or might prevent you to take some action. Because everybody is just talking about the we should do, we might do, we could do. I mean, doing is like Googling something, just a bit cooler, you know what I mean? So turning things actually into action helps. And I learned, not only working here at SAP and in our ecosystem also, but also in the company I was working prior to SAP at BASF, that pitching ideas is not like Shark Tank. It's not really like it works if you are working in big enterprises, in big ecosystems. Pitching ideas is, I also have a hard time identifying a common thread. Okay, so this is the elevator pitch. Okay, because it always depends on who actually is sitting with you or standing next to you in this elevator. So I actually really had a hard time in understanding how to convince people that this idea is something worth it. And then all of a sudden, Leonardo DiCaprio, he decided to make my favorite movie, at least one of my favorite movies. And you guess which one it is? Yes. So the film I'm talking about is Inception. And please let me know quickly in the chat if you know Inception, and if you know it, just a smiley or thumbs down or whatever. I'm really interested in understanding how do you perceive this movie, okay? Because there are people either only discussing about the end and others either discussing about the film itself. So Inception, and I developed a mindset in implementing inceptions, using this methodology of trying not to steal an idea or to steal a thought, but to build on it, and engaging with people and giving them something they take home and they hopefully dream about. And to get people dreaming about something, you might have to go a bit farther. So understanding what inception actually means, I mean, this is the official dictionary, right? And obviously this word is pretty important in England so far. But I would like to focus with you guys on the third point, on the science fiction part, on the act of instilling an idea onto something, on someone's mind by entering his or her dreams. In the end of the day, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm exactly trying to do this, that people start thinking about something and I can't get it out of my mind. And it makes a hell of a sense the way it was introduced. Oh my goodness. And yes, of course, it's a complex topic, okay? But simplifying complex topics is not always leading to, to a new iPhone. You know what I mean? I mean, a super complex topic like an iPhone, simplified to something everybody of us loves to use. This is not always possible. So my good friend, Leonardo, he actually comes up and he says, how complex is the idea? And this dude tells him simply enough, where Leonardo replies, no idea is simple when you need it, when you need to plant it in somebody else's mind. And this is exactly the point. Looking at how ideas are being generated, we are very, very, very often seeing the following. Hey, dude, I have an idea. I read about this and I read about that, and I think you should engage with this. Here is everything you need to know. Bye-bye. And this is how it goes. I can handle this with one person, with this lady coming to my desk or, sending me an email or dropping me a call and telling me I have this and that idea. I can handle that with one. I would have a hard time if all of you would come up with, I have an idea, I have an idea, and I have an idea, and so on. But the question is, how to make a relevant change here, how to build an idea, and how to manage the complexity we're seeing when it comes to sustainability, for instance. And the question is always, does the idea has to be any complex? These 3 PowerPoint slides and so on and so forth. So this now is a proposal for you. Just consider it and let's talk about it. An idea, in the end of the day, starts with gathering information. It happens. So something comes to your mind and you start thinking about it. But instead of just, dropping a recipient with the information you got, why not hold on and connect the dots? Because you are actually listening to a lot of stuff and you are hearing a lot of stuff. You are consuming a lot of information. And if you take a step back, there might be the potential in connecting certain information. And if you start connecting them, you can tell a story. And it's not only telling a story of, how to solve something. In our environment, it's very important also to, to tell a story, solving a challenge, and not forgetting that there are companies in the need of making business. They are not collecting karma points. So I'm not actually talking about having, the 100% rock solid business case in this matter, but you have to come up with something relevant. Hell yeah, it is relevant to save our planet. This is the top-notch priority, right? It is. Companies who are making decisions to invest need to have a kind of a foresight. They need to have the idea in the end of the day, what I'm actually investing in. Why am I investing it? And too often, folks, too often, this idea ends in a very, very isolated project covering just a fraction of the complete potential. And the reason very often is also simple. It's because it's manageable. I can take the risk of, investing 250,000 or 200 million or whatever it is, the price in something. This is something I can cover. All the rest, this is way too big. And if you do not have any idea on how to reach, from A to D, from point A to D, by hopping B, and C, your sponsors will most likely say, what, no. On the other side, just imagine if before today, everything you get to your mind, everything you hear when it comes to sustainability and whatever it could be, and you would say, what, this would be a crazy idea, and this would be an idea. So if everything new on your table becomes an idea, and you put people to work, you are likely to block yourself, in evolving and delivering, because you're always thinking about what is actually the idea without having really the idea. And there is nothing worse, trust me, in building something, building on an idea nobody actually really needs. Just look at this beautiful slide. So the idea was, let's create a playground for children, and we are going to build a wonderful slide here. And wow, actually nobody really asked the children, right? So what do they? I love this guy here. So this is in the end the topic with all those ideas. And you might now say, okay, cool. I now learned something about ideas and inception, but what is actually, the overlap to sustainability. Sustainability is not of a big difference when it comes to generating ideas. And trust me, especially in sustainability, you are in the middle of this crowded place where everybody, literally everybody tells you, this would be a good idea and that would be a good idea. There is some pre-work to do, and we will also come to this later. Guys, we're in the middle of the presentation in the end of the day, of the hour, if you like, and I really would like to know how we're doing. Is this what you were expecting? And before moving now to the next topic of the ecosystems, where I'm going to dig a bit deeper into what is an ecosystem and what is actually an ecosystem, and once you understand this, how to build or how to create actually ideas, how to put yourself in the shoes of a business when it comes to building a large project. Let's go to Slido again and check what's oopsie, no, this is not what I wanted to do. Give me a sec. So I have to stop here again, right? And I have to share again. There we go. There we go. So I'm really interested in learning what is actually missing. Are you looking for we're expecting more facts and figures. I mean, this is nothing I can change for now, but for the next time maybe, or if you like to contact, or if you like to call, whatever you say. Would you wish for more insights into projects and solutions? Do you love it the way it is? And some coffee and biscuits. And the question behind this here actually is, are you okay with having this virtually? Or would you love to have, the session together in a common place in South Africa, maybe? Because I heard it's warm there. Nice. Okay, for those of you who are wishing for more facts and figures, and also, for the projects and the solutions and so on, there is a lot to tell. There's really a lot to tell, and the only way I would see in delivering or offering you more insights would be kind of a podcast or something like it. You see what I mean? Because it's really a lot. So if you reach out, and I'm offering you here, reach out to me. Let's go into this. Also, tell me what exactly, or what is it what you would like to understand? The impact of the projects, the technology of the projects, and we go from there. I love it. Philip, 7 people. This is it, right?
We're actually 14 at the moment, but all goody, all goody. But I noted down Pedro yes. For a podcast. I noted that down.
Oh, I see. I was on mute here. I had actually my speakers on mute. Okay. So, Annika, is there anything in the chat we can already answer?
Not yet.
Good. Good. So let's continue the journey. I hope you're now seeing it in presentation mode. Are you?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're now going to talk a bit about ecosystems. I love this quote. Do you know what my favorite renewable fuel is? An ecosystem for innovation. This was actually, I just found it exactly for the purpose of today. I didn't even know who Thomas Friedman is. Thomas Friedman, he is actually a journalist in the United States. It makes a hell of a sense. This is how typically businesses work today. So you have different roles, and SAP, for instance, in this context, we are likely to be seen as a supplier, and then we have our customers, and we are working with our partners, and especially when it comes to to this domain sustainability, we're also working with the science. But at the same time, we can be a customer, and we are dealing with suppliers, and they are now dealing with partners, and all of a sudden our supplier can be a customer. So everything changes here. Everything is rotating. And what I want to tell you here in this this graphic is the typical business, how it works is coming with a principal mindset. So there is always one person in charge, or one company who has a need, and this need now needs to be covered. Typically it ends in a project, okay, in a measure. But let's, for the sake of simplification, let's say it's the customer, and the customer is exactly the one who says, this is what I need. Typically, this customer writes down a point of view. He writes down Excel wallpapers full of features and functions he needs, and so on and so forth. Then there is a contract coming from a supplier, and the supplier might also, take a partner for implementation or whatever skills. In the end, this is a process equipped with, with contracts, with service level agreements, with, with actually everything where the customer thinks, this is exactly the gap I have. This is exactly what I need to close. There are some pros in this case. And the pro is, this is business as usual. Typically, companies these days work exactly like you're seeing here on the screen. Here and there, maybe a bit easier, okay, but in the end of the day, it's always with the contract and with, with the pricing and quotation and so on. This is exactly how it works. The con on the other side is that if you, and you are now taking the place of the customer, if you think for whatever reason that you have a full picture of what is actually needed, you will have actually no chance, because the process simply doesn't allow it, to enhance your perspective, because you're not asking others for not only for their opinion, but how to solve actually a challenge. You're not even going to tell them maybe about the challenge. You're just sending them over some spreadsheets with, this is what I need, and I'm deciding between product A and product B, and I don't like you, but I like you. Typically, this is exactly how it works. So how? This is now really a question. How could a process or a business setup look like where the ecosystem, because we have one persona in the middle of it, how could we evolve to a more, let's say, challenge-solving oriented mindset? And there is actually something like it. And this is then again what we would call a typical ecosystem. And in the ecosystem, I love to compare it with a big party, and I'm inviting you all. But the only thing I'm bringing to the table is pizza. And I'm happy that Philip is bringing the beer, and I'm happy that Annika is also bringing some chips, and so on and so forth. By understanding what the challenge is, by clearly position the challenge, and now we're in the middle of sustainability, by position that we have to reduce, for instance, in a complete value chain, not only in a single project or in a single process step, in a complete value chain. For instance, chemicals in an industry, we have to reduce the CO2 footprint dramatically. The moment a company thinks they can solve it all by their own, they're lost. This is not going to work because it's too freaking complex. It's too complex. Putting the challenge and describing the challenge at the core of everything. And then, of course, introducing and inviting companies and players who have something to say, who have capabilities and who have skills, who can add on top of the solution you might have as a customer in this case. Of course, entails the pro that you might be faster and way more effective because maybe you can build already on something already existing. Maybe you can, maybe you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can look at how your competition is actually working, because this is not a question of competitiveness. This is a question of the challenge. The the con on the other side is that there is not really a, let's say, a carved in business model. And this means actually that the business model can vary from time to time. And also the revenue can vary from time to time because you're now being paid for your service. Imagine sustainability as a service, for instance. Okay, you're putting your service at the core of the challenge, and you're getting paid for not products you're selling, but for the outcome of it. Very different. The big, let's say, the big wall people would have now to overcome is transparency. This might sound so easy, and also might look like, much more unconfusing than the other one, because you never know who is actually talking with whom. You know it here. This this is the pack. Okay, these are the people, these are the companies working on exactly this challenge. And it's clear to everybody what actually the challenge is. And it's also clear to everybody what everybody is, or what actually the individual players are, putting on the table here to overcome the challenge. But transparency is extremely important. And companies need to find their own way in the end of the day, how to live in such an ecosystem. So the ecosystem is a different to a partner network, where typically people and it's very, very often also on the people level, on the knowledge, but it's based on contracts. So the supplier only starts working if there is a contract in place. In this case, a supplier would start working if he understands what is actually the challenge and how can I contribute. And of course, along this course, how will I earn money off this? Because nobody is just doing it for, collecting those karma points. So digging deeper, much deeper into ecosystems and ecosystems, there is not a clear definition on what is actually an ecosystem and an ecosystem. Some people might say, an ecosystem it's a partner network. I have now shown you what I'm convinced of a ecosystem should be. And this is also the way we are working when it comes to the ecosystem. When we are working with customers and when we are working with universities and whoever, we are not playing games. We are putting the challenge on the desk and we're saying, okay, this is exactly what needs to be done. This is actually what needs to be solved. And we have no idea, where will we be? Will we be in the software? Will we be in the sponsoring? Will we be in the process? We don't have any idea. And this is exactly how we, in sustainability engagement, how we are tackling this topic in an ecosystem. So when you are now saying, you know what, I have an idea and I want to build an inception. What I would like to recommend to you is try to think a bit bigger, for a very simple reason. If you want to convince a business to change, we are typically handling or working together with global businesses. So even this, what I'm showing you here, this Pestle, this is how it's called, Pestle, is super important for companies operating in international fields. And since we already touched it, businesses, they typically are not paying bills and salaries and so on just by collecting karma points. There are some companies who are actually collecting karma points, and but the question at the end of the day is also it's actually always, how are they actually going to pay their bills? So it's the one or the other thing. Now, if you're really considering, going into a business and telling them, listen, guys, there is a significant impact you guys could make, why not think in this Pestle? Why not think in political and economic, in social and in technological, in legal and environmental topics? And I'm not saying that this is now going to cost you hundreds of pages, because it's actually pretty easy. You see, so it's really not a big thing. It's more or less to take different perspectives and to also to understand why maybe a company located in Europe has a really hard time in, improving a process in China or in the United States, maybe. Okay, so this is actually the political part. And you have also this technological part, where technology in China is known to be, way more progressed, okay, because people are up to speed, okay, they're hungry for technology, or at least they're open for technology. People, at least here, in Central Europe, they're here and they're hesitating. Okay, so they're using WhatsApp since 10 years and they will use WhatsApp for the next 50 years. and it really doesn't matter what will be the next new technology. So this is the one thing. A very important topic is legal. So in many cases we're talking about, we need to understand that there are, legal guidance. There is actually legal guidance. 60 plus legal rules are being implemented just by now in sustainability. And this can help you. And then, of course, in the end, you see this environmental topic. So you see economic, you see the social, and you see the environmental. And on top of it, you see as a new part, the political, the technology, and the legal parts. So this is what I recommend to you whenever you think, and okay, let me engage with, let me just engage with, with CEOs, with stakeholders, or if you go to your next webinar, next time we meet, let's talk, for instance, about exactly this. And especially when it comes to legal, it's super interesting to see how many countries, how many states are implementing own regulations. In the United States, for instance, it's especially when it comes to modern slavery, for instance. Okay, the Modern Slavery Act. This is not only one thing you have in California, or in the United States in general. You have it in California, and you have it here and there, and in some states you do not have it. Know what I mean? So having a closer look at this legal topic really, really helps. Coming to the end, this year is certainly something you are pretty familiar with. If not, let me quickly explain what you're seeing here. So when you're talking about an innovation, you are also looking for the sweet spot. The sweet spot of a feasibility, is it technologically possible? The viability, is business going to make any money out of it? Any sales? Can they actually turn it into, into money? And the desirability. So is there actually someone who's saying, here I am, this is what I need. This is what we call a sweet spot. When it now comes to sustainability, I'd like to put your attention on a new field. And the new field is sustainability. And this actually means that it's not only a matter of, is it possible? Is it viable? And is there someone out there who actually wants it? It's about putting sustainability per design in every solution. We're doing it. We are calling it the green line. So sustainability is being implemented in our products. Whereas when it comes, to other innovation topics, this fraction of sustainability very often is still not right there where it could be. I have 5 key takeaways for you, since this is now really my last slide, and we have some time left for discussion. I hope you keep in mind that you actually have a voice and you have a choice to make. Do not point your fingers on, just the big old companies. We as individuals, we have also a due to pay, and we can contribute to it, and we can massively, massively influence others. And you may like it or not, but just look what Fridays for Future achieved. At least, here in Germany, I cannot say what they achieved in other countries, but here in Germany, in my perception, they really changed a lot. And they started small, and they started only with their voice. So you have a voice, and talk about it. Call Philip and tell him, Philip, I want to be the next one who gives a webinar because I have something to say. And you decide also whether you want to be part of the 1%, the 9%, or the 90%. In the end, all of those matter. If you're just contributing, if you're just reading and telling your friends, or if you're actively telling the world, here's something you need to know. The next thing I would like to give you is not oversimplifying the complexity. it really ain't easy. In many cases, at least, it ain't easy. And when lawmakers are signing some, some bills, there was actually a large process going on. I agree that in many cases, things could be, introduced way faster. But when it comes to business and how a business works, a globally operating enterprise, how they are working, how this business actually works, it's really not that easy. So applying Pestler, for instance, helps you to better, take their perspectives, and also helps them not only to be, thrown an idea over the fence, but an inspiration. Okay, so you are now inspired, and whatever you throw over the fence is a whole package. Think in context. Take advantage of the learning platforms. I heavily used EDX platform, and of course also OpenSAP. On EDX lately, I did some courses, and they take long. I mean, this is nothing you really take, on a weekend or whatever. Okay, you really need to invest time, but you get education deluxe. I love it, and I just can recommend it also to you. Educate yourself and start influencing. Write a blog, publish it on LinkedIn, publish it on the internet. We are your ecosystem. Publish it together with us. Why not? Of course, moving away from ecosystems and build ecosystems, either build or join ecosystems. But just, if you take away that there is this ecosystem and this ecosystem, we achieved a lot. And then last but not least, incept, observe the reaction, repeat. And this is it, guys. I'm at the end, actually, and I'm super curious to get your feedback. I'm super curious also, and of course, I have plenty of time to answer all your questions you have, and let's see where it takes us.
So perhaps I jumped in for a second, Pedro. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom, experience, inspiration. I found them, as I said, very inspiring. I already had a peek at your presentation beforehand, but it was much better, much better. And I even had high hopes beforehand. So cool. I feel very inspired. And it's just, I'm very happy that you are with us for a few more minutes. So I'd like to open the discussion. So if you have any questions to Pedro, feel free to use the chat. Just type them in there, and we will try to answer them, or Pedro will try to answer them as good as he can. I mean, perhaps while everybody's reading, I can just tell you that I don't know. I found your presentation so inspiring and so empowering, basically emphasizing the role that we can play in this entire context.
Mm-hmm.
And it's resonated so much with me, because I had a very interesting example the other day, because we had this discussion of avoiding bottled water. And I, as you said, gather information. I try to connect the dots. I decided to do it. And then I shared the word with my friends, family, and first my family started to avoid or to get rid of bottled water, then friends, and it was a succession of events. And now almost everybody, or everyone from our friends is basically using tap water.
You see, so you are part of the 1%, Philip. In the end,
that totally resonated with me while you were talking about that. So,
and imagine. Now, just imagine if this really scales, okay, and your family will tell it to their friends and in school and so on and so forth, and then sooner or later maybe this becomes viral for whatever reason. The impact we as individuals have as a pack to global supply chains. What I did personally is already 1.5 years ago, I am avoiding plastic wherever possible. And it's not always easy, seriously, but I started actually with bath articles, shower and so on. Okay, so I'm only using soap, and there are pretty good soaps out there. And I'm so proud of myself that for 1.5 years, I haven't thrown, you know, a shower bottle. I mean, this is really heavy plastic in the end, right? I did not use it. And this is just, again, small, okay? Now you can question, you know what? This is not even making a difference, all right? Because right next, you know, next door, they're polluting whatever. And I mean, I'm convinced sustainability is something, it's maybe one of the first topics I ever been working in. I mean, before it was digitalization and so on, but now sustainability, this is our future, okay? And you cannot say, Philip, you need to reduce whatever, but I keep, you know, I keep my lifestyle.
Cool. So very, very inspiring, honestly. So you still have the chance to use the chat. If there are any questions, I have another one. Okay, while you guys might be typing, I was struck by this when you were talking about transparency and basically the focusing on the challenge rather than, you know, having a more competitive mindset. I was wondering how can one or how can you convince an organization to go for transparency? I mean, it's still, you know, in the economy, it's still, you know, some sort of an advantage if you that you get when, you know, tackling sustainability. How to get rid of that?
Well, indeed, Philip, this is, I mean, this is the question of wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. This is the jackpot. If you can answer this, you are there, you are made, okay. What I'm doing is, it's just a very serious and very open discussion about how are you seriously telling me that your competition has no clue on what your business is doing? And if you ask people like this, you know, I mean, the biggest competitor knows who are the customers, how are the value chains, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's there. But when it comes to pricing, I mean, there are certain industries where list prices are not available. For instance, the chemical industry, typically you have custom-based pricings, for instance. So it's a matter of doing business. They were used in the past 40 years. It's a huge challenge, and it's really not easy. And very often I do not succeed, to be very honest. Okay, I do not succeed because what they're saying is, you know what, I cannot make this decision right now. We have a problem to solve right now here, and I don't have time to build trusty and you know, and these kind of relationships. So it's a way to go, and we have to go with example. This is how I can tell you.
Okay, makes sense. Lead by example. Yes, resonates as well. Actually, we have a question in the chat from Maximilian. He's answering. He's asking why it is certainly true that everybody does her own contribution. How would you see, you Pedro, the role of politics in pushing into the right direction? Massively,
really massively, and this is also what we. So we as SAP, we are of course very well connected to, you know, to politics and, you know, to government and so on all over the world, of course. And in the end, and not sure if you saw it lately, I just read it today, 69 major German companies, they asked, and this is not what I can say about Germany because it really happened, I read it in the news, 69 major companies in Germany are asking politics for the right decisions now, not later. Okay, so you clearly see that this is not gaming, okay, or gambling or whatever. They're really requesting it because they see they cannot operate like they're operating right now. In future, they have a brilliant idea how to move forward, but there are foundations which need to be laid first. Okay, so regulatory, of course, this is the one thing, and the other thing, infrastructure, certainly. So yes, absolutely, politics is in the lead of it. But you cannot wait for them. A very good example, Max, what BASF did. So BASF said, we have the steam cracker, and just for those of you who do not really know what BASF does, so BASF is the largest chemical company in the world. The headquarters in Ludwigshafen, they have 9 kilometers of length and 4 kilometers of width. And they have roughly 30,000 people employed just in Ludwigshafen, and additional 70,000 in the world. the consumption, the energy consumption of BASF in Ludwigshafen is as big as total Germany, just in Ludwigshafen. And they have own power generators already, okay? But now they're saying we need to move to hydrogen. And they are going into an ecosystem, not an ecosystem, an ecosystem, together with energy providers. And they're saying, we are now going to buy 49% of your shares. We're going to buy Vattenfall. And we are going with EnBW, which is also one of the biggest energy suppliers in Germany, for offshoring. Now, there is this energy, but now politics need to support companies like BASF to get the energy to Ludwigshafen. So you cannot wait. This is what I want to say. And everybody in the end of the day needs to push it.
Oh, great. No, I actually agree, and thank you. I think you already answered, and you also answered Max's question. We have if you have any more questions, you're still more than welcome to type them in the chat. Let's just give it another second.
Otherwise, LinkedIn. Let's connect everybody on LinkedIn. I'm super happy to connect with you. And in case you have more questions towards products, towards more activities and projects and so on, I mean, we're here. Okay, this is maybe the who knows? Maybe in 15 years or in 10 years we will say, when we first met, yeah, that webinar, that was awesome, and now we are changing something.
That's actually quite good. I'm looking forward to that moment when we're looking back at this webinar for such a fire starter. Perfect. Pedro, I really would like to thank you so much for this inspiring talk. Thank you so much. Also, we'd like to thank our partners and especially you, our Meet and Code audience, for your time and attention this afternoon. We've really enjoyed hosting you, and we hope you'll be back and walk away feeling a little bit more inspired and motivated. I'd also like to thank Annika for her support in preparing this beautiful Meet and Code online seminar. So thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again in the next Meet and Code online seminars. Remember to check our Meet and Code website, browse through the inspiration library, and follow us on social media. Check out Pedro's blogs, and let's connect and let's meet again in 10 years and reminisce and start reminiscing about this beautiful day in this presentation today. On that light note, thank you so much, Peter, Annika, and the Meet and Code audience. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon.